Hey guys, I hope everybody has been doing well. First of all, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I am infamously known for um a segment I was doing called the Nigga Chronicles, chronicling the niggas I was dating. But I had stopped that when I had gotten a serious relationship. But anyways, I am back with something different. Anyone that knows me knows that my long-term goal is to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, a heart surgeon. And yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated with surgery. I love watching surgeries. I go online, I just be trying to look up any kind of heart surgery that I can. I definitely love like transplant surgeries, all the surgeries. Um, so I'm really interested in that. I hope the mic is picking this up. This is my first time doing like this and I'm just, trying to get my setup. I got the mic on a fucking pillow, so just bear with a bitch. I don't know if I should talk closer, further. I watched a video. The white guy said that the thing could pick up like 2 feet away, so I should be okay. So yeah. Oh, listen, disclaimer, these titties, they're long and they're big, and I'm not gonna put no bra on because I did 12 hours of clinicals today and I'm tired. But anyway, so I have a lot of crazy ass stories. Like I've had a crazy ass life, and everyone's like, yo, you need to write a book, you need to write a book, you need to get your story out there, you need to get your story out there. So even though my story is not done, we're already claiming it. I know I'm going to be a heart surgeon. I'm already taking the steps to get there. So why not already, start the book? Why not already start my journey and my journey in letting the world know what my life story is? And yeah, I'm still going through a lot of shit. Shit, I ain't where I need to be, but I'm definitely heading towards where I want to be, and that's all that matters to me. So, I can fall as many times as I need to, as long as when I end up finally getting up, I have that scalpel in my hand. That's all that matters. So let's get into it, okay? This is officially the first video of From Hoe to Heart Surgeon, the journey, okay, the beginning. Okay, so first of all, my name is Ashley, okay? That is going to be the only real name in these stories. Everything I'm going to tell you is absolutely true, but I'm just going to change the names, okay? Because when I get famous, I don't have time for people to be trying to come after me, bitch. Because yeah, this said it was Lucy. It said it no, it said that I beat the brakes off of Lucy. Are you Lucy? Okay. So we changing the names. We're not going into all of that. Um, all right, y'all, here we go. So I'm Ashley. I was born March 18th, 1989 in San Diego, California. To my teenage mother. Okay, my mom, she was 19, and my dad, I think he was like 21 or 22. My dad was in the military. My mom was a teenager. Okay, out of high school. Yeah, so uh my dad was a Rolling Stone, as they call it. He was in the military. And it just kind of seems by like our ages and from the stories that I've heard from like my mom and from what, some of my siblings, other mothers had kind of told them, it seemed like he would like get one woman pregnant, and then while she was pregnant, he would already move on to the next bitch and then get her pregnant, and then you feel me, so on and so on. Um, so, for example, my sister, who's 18, 19 months older than me, her mom called my mom when my mom was 19 and pregnant with me. And she's like, yeah, like, I need help. I need diapers. I need, I need milk. I need this. I need that. And my mom is a teenager, like, you, what baby? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. So, growing up, like I didn't know I had any other siblings. I did not know I had any other siblings until I was 14 years old. I was randomly told one day when I was taking a bath, oh, do you know you have a brother? That was it. I was never told any the fuck thing else. When I kind of tried to find him, I was basically shut the fuck down. But yeah, so that's just like a little snippet. We'll get into all that later. That's a little snippet about just like my parents or whatever. um so my dad was abusive. Uh, and him and my mom, he got into it, and she said he threw some chicken grease, or he threw a pot at her or something, and she was holding me in her arms, and that was like her last straw. She ended up leaving him, and yeah. And my mom actually had told me one time she was thinking about giving me up for adoption, and when she had me, obviously my grandmother was there. When she had me, my grandmother was like, absolutely not. We gonna work this out. I'm keeping my grandchild. So that was that. I was really close growing up to my grandmother, even though she was strict as shit. Like my grandmother definitely, hold on, let me just get the time so I know I don't go over this hour, really. So my grandmother was definitely strict. She would definitely whoop my ass. She was also religious. So I remember that my grandmother had like, I don't know if she like sold art or something, but we would like go to these places and she would have like the art for sale. And I just remember it would be like Black Angels, Black Jesus. It was probably the first time I had ever seen any religious figures. Like when I think of religious figures, like when I think of like the first time that my mind saw religious figures, it was in my grandmother's house. I'm sure I've seen it before, maybe riding in the car on the bus. But like what I remember, like when I first think of like the first time I seen an angel like on the paper, I just think of all those paintings that my grandmother used to have in her house, and they were all black. Um, so that was interesting that like once I was older and when it came to religion, like why is Jesus and all the angels white? Because that's not how I saw it, growing up. But so I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. This is I like I said, I was born in San Diego, so this is when I was all still in San Diego. And I just love to be around her, and I think it's just because she was stable and I felt safe with her. Oh, excuse me. I felt safe with her. Um, Like with me and my mom, it there wasn't like a lot of stability all the time. So like we just moved a lot of places. I went to a lot of different schools. Just stuff like that. We just it's not like I lived in the same house for fucking 20 years, it wasn't like that. There's a lot of apartment hopping and, hard times and things of that nature. Um one time, I'm sorry y'all, my nose is so stuffed. Like just God forgive me. Um But one time I remember, I don't know what was going on, but it was Thanksgiving. That I do remember. And we were going to Target and she was trying to like just get some food just so like we could have a Thanksgiving. I don't know if my grandmother had already passed or if she wasn't alive. I mean, same thing. If she hadn't passed, excuse me, or they were beefing or something, right? Because they would be beefing on and off. But I do remember um Target was closed, right? We must have got there too late, or maybe they just weren't even open at all. And we had like went to a couple places, and she was like trying to get like food for whatever reason. We just didn't have no food for the Thanksgiving setup, and so we got back home to the apartment, and I just remember her crying, you know. And now that I'm a mom myself, my nose is so stuffed. I can't even breathe. I'm sorry, y'all. Now that I'm a mom myself, I definitely know what she was feeling that day. Um, but at the time I was probably like 6 or 7. And I just remember she was just sitting at that table. She just started crying. And if you guys remember, so like maybe some of y'all still see with checks, a checkbook. But you used to be like in the 90s and early 2000s, you would be able to write a check, right? So you can go to the store, you could write your check. So sometimes like you could order those stickers. So instead of like when you put your check in an envelope to send it off, like to pay your bills, instead of you, I'm sorry, y'all, this thing is messed up. I ain't connect my bed yet. Instead of you having to write your address and your name on there and every single time, you could purchase these stickers and it would automatically have your name and your address. So you just put the sticker on, send the check off. And I remember I took two of the stickers and I put one on this eyebrow, one on this eyebrow, and I went like this. That shit about to make me tear up, yo. I don't know why every time I think of that, I laugh and like cry at the same time. But I just remember she was just like, she was like, she was just laughing. She was cracking up laughing, yo. I'm already crying. Damn, I didn't even get to the hard parts yet. Shit. It's emotional thinking about all this stuff. But forgive me, y'all. Just forgive me. Let me open my window because I can't, y'all. I can't. I can't breathe. So I did that and she was laughing. I just wanted to like make her feel better and I didn't really understand the scope of what was going on. I didn't understand like we ain't got no food for Thanksgiving. I just knew that my mom was sad and I didn't want to see her fucking crying, you know? You gotta remember my mom was super young when she had me. She was only, 20 at this point, maybe 25 or something like that. Um, so yeah. Um, I did hear from another cousin that grew up with my mom that my mom did have a substance abuse problem. If she did, she hid it very well from me. I mean, I knew my mom smoked weed. I didn't really know what weed was. Like I did, but I didn't. But like, you just know like from adults like saying, "Oh, where the weed?" And then they pick this up. You're like, "Okay, that's called weed." Or where are the papers? Okay, that's papers. So like I knew she smoked weed, but other than that, I never knew my mother to do any hard drugs or anything like that. So if that's true, I don't know. I have no recollection of it. She kept it hidden from me, or it wasn't something she did often. Um, so yeah, so where the story really started to take a bit of a turn was when we went to Target one night, right? So remember, this is back when you could write checks. So back when you could write a check, so like, when you have your debit card, right? You have your debit card. If you got $30 on your debit card, bitch, you got $30 to spend at Walmart. Unless your shit could overdraft or something like it's your bank card. Okay. With a check, if you had $100 in the bank account, of course you can write a check for that $100. But what you used to be able to go back to do, see, stores now, they don't really like to do that whole cash back shit. They gonna give your black ass credit. Okay, bitch, you don't want this flat screen? We not running you no $1,000 back, bitch. Would you like this other flat screen or you want to get $1,200 worth of some other shit? They don't, I mean, they do, but they don't. Okay. Some places they do that points cash back bullshit. So essentially, it's double dipping if I write a check and I have $100, right? Let's say I buy $100 laptop and then I come back 2 days later and I say, the person already had a laptop or something. It was a gift and they didn't need it. Here, I want to return it and get my money back. Well, they would just give you the money back right then and there at Walmart. Okay, bitch, you don't want the laptop? Cool, you bought it 2 days ago. You have the receipt. Okay, you paid via check, whatever. Here's your $100 back. Well, the check ain't even clear from the bank yet. So the $100 is still in the bank. So now, not only did I return that laptop and get the $100, now I'm going to the bank and I'm getting that $100. Double dipping. It's illegal. Anyway, so um she was doing some shit like that and got in trouble, okay? And we went to Target one day, right? Just went into Target, just regular day at Target. And I don't know, I don't shop at Target. I don't care for it. It's overpriced and it's to me it's too overpriced. It's to me it's a white people store. God forgive me. I know a lot of niggas like Target, but baby, you can get them same khakis at Walmart for 15.99. That's all I gotta say. Probably 12.99. Okay. Um, So we're in the Target. We're leaving. So I don't know if Target is still built like this. I don't think so because now Target got a Starbucks. They got a GameStop in the corner. You can get your nails done. I don't know. But back in the day when you walked in Target, on the left side it was two-way mirrors, and they were huge, right? So as a kid, you're just saying like, "Oh, that's a mirror," but as an adult, you know, like it's a nigga behind that mirror looking at people, right? That's probably where the what they call it, the security people, not security, but like what is it, the secret security, the people that act like they're regular people, but they're security, like them, probably where they work back there, right? So they were walking out of Target, and it was like something out of a movie. They just came and grabbed us. That's the best way I can explain it. We're walking out of Target before we hit the double doors. They came, they grabbed my mom, and they grabbed me. They put us in a room, and it had all these cameras. I mean, I'm sorry, it had like like the little TVs, and so they were showing like different days that she had been in there. And I remember they were saying, "Is this you? Is this you?" And she was just like, "No, no, no." But I'm looking, and of course, in my little mind, I'm like, "That's definitely my mom." But I'm not saying that. I don't really understand the scope of what's going on. Um, well, the next thing I knew, we walked out of Target, and she was in handcuffs. And her cousin, like her favorite cousin at the time, you got to remember, my mom was like 26 at this time or something crazy, okay? So her favorite cousin at that time, she had called her and said, come and get Ashley. Like, bitch, I'm going to jail. I need somebody to come and get Ashley. So my cousin came and got me. I'll never forget. We went to Jack in the Box. And all my life, like the next day, she took me to a group home. So apparently, now this was after my grandmother had passed that this happened to my mom, right? Excuse me. So the plan was because I mean I had family, I got family. So the plan wasn't for me to go to a group home. It was just crazy. The plan was for that cousin to keep me, and then she would go down, she would sign a piece of paper saying if we let this bitch out, this bitch ain't gonna flee the country or some shit. The cousin would sign a paper and say, yeah, and my mother would be able to leave. Well, the cousin had talked to her mom. You gotta remember the cousin is 20 something too. So the cousin talks to her mom, which is my grandmother's sister, my mom's aunt. And my grandmother's sister was like, no, send Ashley to Maryland to to go be with her aunt and uncle. Um, but in between that time, for whatever reason, for them 2 weeks or so, I was at that group home. Okay. Which was a fucking nightmare. I don't know if anybody's ever been in a group home. There's never anything good or fun about it. I mean, I guess the fun is just like because I was young and being around kids, but I do remember I slept in a room. It was four of us to a room, and there was this one girl. She had severe mental issues, and she would just cuss, "Fucking bitch, fuck you, you fucking bitch, bitch." And I mean, she was all of 8 or something like that. She was super young because I would go down and complain, like, I can't sleep. And they would just kind of be like, but take it type of thing. Like, it was nothing that they could do. Um, so yeah, honestly, I just remember you're just scared, bro. Like, who the fuck goes in Target? Like, just fucking imagine, like, anybody that got kids, like you go to Walmart and the fuck, like you leave and you end up in jail, and then your kid ends up in a group home the next day. It's pretty drastic, pretty drastic change, especially when you're not expecting it. So, but kids are resilient and we bounce back, so. One day I was just simply told, you're gonna go on a plane and you're gonna go live in Maryland with your aunt and uncle. Yeah. Now, mind you, my aunt and uncle, it's not like I didn't know them, and it's not like I'd never been to Maryland. I think I had already been twice, maybe at least once, because my grandparents, so my other grandparents, right, which is So my aunt and uncle. Okay. My aunt is the sister to my mother. Okay. My uncle was married in the family. My uncle has known my aunt since college. Okay. So they've known each other for years. So his family has like been a part of my family for quite some time. Okay. My uncle, who was married in the family, his mother and my grandmother were very close. They were close. Okay. In fact, my grandmother will always laugh. My grandmother, okay, I may confuse y'all. So my uncle's mom, we'll call her Miss Smith. Okay. And then my maternal grandmother, I'll just call her my grandmother. Okay. So my grandmother and Miss Smith, who I also consider my grandmother, right? My grandmother and Miss Smith were friends. Okay. Years ago, for just some very random reason, I don't know if I was trying to get my mother in trouble, but years ago, for some random fucking reason, I literally told my grandmother one day, I just said, my mom keeps her weed in the medicine cabinet. Just like that. Just a simple, nothing before it, nothing after it. Just letting you know, bitch, in the medicine cabinet is where the marijuana is in my house. So that was interesting, but I don't know why Miss Smith always like was tickled as shit by that. Like, what? Like, what you mean she just bust out saying her mom keep the weed in the medicine cabinet? But yeah, so my uncle who was married into the family, his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I've been close to them since, they've known me since I was 6 or 7. So I'm just like whatever, a biological grandchild to them. Okay. At least that's how I felt because we just in the beginning of this story, baby. So yeah, so they always considered me, a grandchild. And if you went in their house, they had pictures of me in there as well. So yeah, so it wasn't like I was going to this foreign land. I knew what I was getting into. Like I knew who I was going to be living with. I just didn't know how long. Like okay, how long am I going to have to live out here? Like when can I go live back with my mom? So when I came out to Maryland, I went to this school. It was like middle of the school year or something. And it's the school's called Greenbelt Elementary School. And let me fucking tell you, I remember that experience very well. And I was in the third grade. And when I tell you it was hell on earth, like, bro, when I think of Greenbelt Elementary, I dead ass compare that shit to like Rikers Island. Like, that shit was crazy. Like, yo, I still consider myself a California girl at heart. And when I came out here, these Maryland kids, woo, they was rough, baby. They were rough. When I tell you, they were bullying the fuck out of me. I didn't even know, like, what did I do? What did I do? Bitch didn't even do nothing. Bitch just hopped off the plane, baby, and they just said, "This is my class." Um, so yeah, it was this white boy though that was there. He was cool. Um, but yeah, I went through like hell and back, and I lived at that time when I came out and I lived with my aunt, she lived with this Indian bitch. I'll never forget her. She was pretty. So just side note, I think Indian bitches are very beautiful. Of course, I think my kind is the most beautifulest of them all. But Indian bitches come close. You heard me. Them is some pretty bitches. Okay, that's just my little opinion. Side note, anyway. So she lived with this Indian bitch, right? And this is my aunt. She was roommating at the time. So, and I remember she lived by this. We lived by this like center, like a rec center or something. And my aunt, she was really into BB and CC Winans. And I don't know if this is them that sang that song. What's that song? Do 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 do. From the Milky Way, leave your kids behind. It'll be a brighter day. Whatever that Milky Way song was, she loved that song. Okay, it was around that time, but she was really into BB and CC Winans at the time. I think this is when she still had a somewhat of a soul. But anyway, so we would, listen to that or whatever. But I would get so excited because sometimes she would surprise me and we would go to the rec center and I would just be like so surprised. Like, I really loved my aunt back then. Like, she couldn't do any wrong in my eyes. It's auntie. Like, you love auntie. Like, What can auntie do? You know? So I had a lot of fun. Now, my uncle, eventually, we ended up all moving together. Me, my aunt, and then, my uncle, her nigga, her boyfriend. This was before they were married, right? Because they didn't get married till I was like 14 or something. So, bam. So then I go to a private school, right? So now I'm at my private school. They still treated me like dirt at the bottom of the motherfucking shoe. Um, but it got better, as the years go on. You finally cement yourself with people, whatever, whatever. Now, during middle school, I still was I- like when it came to like my aunt, I was still very close to her. I always kind of consider my uncle like oh, he's the meanie or he's the bad guy. But that's just because I just couldn't see things for what they were. So my aunt, I just started to like notice some things about her. And I didn't really understand it maybe when I was younger, but then as I got older, I'm like, wow, like she really kind of left me out there. So at this private school, there was this teacher. I want to say her name so bad, but there was this teacher. And I sure didn't forget her name, and I didn't forget her ugly, scrawny ass motherfucking face. Okay. And for whatever reason, when you say favoritism, like when you think favoritism, okay, we all know what that means. Nigga, this was extreme. This was probably the most extreme favoritism I've ever seen in my little ass 34 years on this earth, okay? And she ended up becoming our cheerleading coach. Even though this bitch had no cheerleading experience whatsoever, right? We had this Spanish bitch who was the coach. I forgot her name, but I loved her. And then she left the school or some shit. So then we had a new coach, right? So now you guys were kind of moving on a little bit into, in the middle school years. The meat of the story, y'all, is when I get a little bit older. So just hang tight. It's only the intro, baby. We can't give everything away, okay? So yeah, we'll call this teacher Miss Riley, okay? So interestingly enough, that year, so when I went to this private school, every year, we have back to school night or whatever. Every year we usually went to back to school night. For whatever reason that year they changed it and they just wanted the parents to come leave the fucking kids at home. It was just probably too much commotion and shit, right? So I stayed home that year, so I didn't get to meet none of my teachers beforehand. So my aunt comes home and she's like, there's this teacher, your science teacher, Miss Riley. You're really gonna like her. Woo woo wah woo woo wah. I'm like, cool. She getting me hyped the fuck up. Like, okay, bitch. Like, so once I actually get to meet Miss Riley and interact with her, she does not like me. And I can't. Let me tell you something. A bitch was only 12, so it ain't like I did something to this hoe. Okay, so now I know it's some kids that's hell on earth. Don't get me motherfucking wrong. I know it's some kids that's like, bitch, you better keep him at home. Don't bring that little nigga to my house because, bitch, I'll beat his ass. I understand, but I wasn't one of them kids. So, I mean, she would do shit like, so one time we would do little cheerleading competitions, right? She wanted all of us, of course, to be uniform, even with the hair, right? There was this girl who got, and me and this young lady are still friends on Facebook. In fact, she has beautiful locks as I do now. But there was this girl, and we'll call her Strawberry. Okay. And Strawberry, because she's one of them girls, she only go by her nickname, baby. I don't even remember what the fuck her government name is, because we've been calling that girl Strawberry since she popped out. Okay. So Strawberry had got micros. Okay. For all the white bitches out there watching, micros is them teeny weeny. Look at this. You see this dread? Divide this dread into fucking four braids. That's micros. Okay. Micros. Okay. They take forever to do and they're very expensive. Okay. Even back then in the 2000 and what year is this? What the 2013? No, what the fuck? I graduated '07. Damn, I'm old. This was 1990. Yo, what year was this? In sixth grade? Okay, in sixth grade, how old are you, yo? You're 12, right? This is like 2003, 2002, 2003, 2002 or 2011. Around, listen, 2000 something, bitch. Okay, it's like 2001 or 2002 because I went to high school in 2003 and I graduated in '07. So yeah, so okay, so around 2002 ish or 2001 ish because I definitely remember I had 9/11 happen when I was at school. So sorry, I'm drinking, so it may take me a little longer to connect these dots. Um, Like, for example, we had to all be uniform. So Strawberry had the micros. And then there was another bitch, Tiana or whatever. And Tiana had like she naturally had long hair, but she had took her natural long hair and she, made it braids. It was still her hair, but it was just braids and she had it in a ponytail. And then I don't know what the fuck was going on, what the fuck was on top of my head. But I remember she had told like we were all sitting down and she was like, yeah, so we're gonna have to get uniform for the hair. You and you gonna have to do something. And then she said something like, and especially you need to do something with that. And when I say she said it nasty, because somebody said, oh, like somebody like I remember one of my teammates covered their mouth and looked at me in shock because she felt fucking bad for me. Because this grown ass adult is like leaning on me basically. And of course, what am I gonna say? You're a full grown adult. Like I wasn't a hood kid, you know what I'm saying? So I would just sit there and take it. So it was another time. Actually, 9/11 almost saved me because I don't know what this bitch would have did to me. But first of all, the bitch was nuts. So she one time went on this whole 30-minute rant, right-handed guy. 30-minute rant. We're in sixth grade. This is when Bush was running against whoever the fuck he was running against. Okay, Bush's son, right? Why the fuck this bitch in the class telling us to tell our parents vote for Bush? Do you know? I didn't even know the magnitude, like, of what she was like saying at that time. So I told my aunt. My aunt was like, she was telling y'all that in class. I was like, yeah, bitch. She said go vote for Bush. So then she was like telling us color doesn't matter. She doesn't see any color. That's bullshit. Color does matter, and I don't stop saying y'all don't see color. Stop. That's bullshit. You're not gonna walk up to me and say you don't see me in these big black titties, bitch. You know I'm black. You what do you just don't you just don't see it? Fuck out of here. Like we all see color. So she like, oh, I don't see no color. This my best friend. So it was them classrooms like it had a door. You could just open the door and you just in the next class. So she brings her non-colored friend out. They don't see color, so I guess they're all tan. She brings her friend out, and the white lady, of course, she's definitely telling us to vote for Bush as well. And Miss Riley is black as tar. Hmm. It's definitely given she was like a liberal or something. I don't know what they call them, right wings. Right wings. Don't get me to sound ignorant on political shit. I don't believe in none of it because I believe both parties is taking you to the slaughterhouse. So I don't I'm not going to pick between the rapist and the murderer. Fuck out of here. I'm not picking none of that shit because picking either one makes you evil. But that's another story. But yeah. So that shit was wild. So I'll never forget. It was around that time. It was 9/11, bitch. Okay, in the motherfucking morning. And that remember though I told you she went and got her white teacher, her white friend. They don't see color. And so the white teacher had this son that went there. Brian, he was a to me, thinking back now, he was a fucking douchebag. Okay. He was an asshole, right? Thought it was so fucking funny, right? But I don't know what the fuck he said to me that morning on 9/11. But I do remember I slapped the dog shit out of him. And it went around the school because we only had about 800 kids in that school. And before a bitch could even get the first period, that teacher damn near snatched my black ass up. Miss Riley talking about, I heard that you're gonna pay for that. Get the fuck out of here. Did I slap one of you or your raggedy ass kids? I don't even think she had kids. Like, girl, I slapped this white boy and he deserved it. Cause how many times are you gonna get smart? How many times are you gonna pick and prod at me? That's why he got slapped and he got fucking embarrassed. Period, point blank. Take the L, move on. You know how many L's I took before I slapped the fuck out that boy? A lot. You feel me? I wasn't the type just to go slap niggas up. So I'm scared and shit. I'm shaking in my boots like, damn, this I can't get away from this bitch, right? Can't even slap a white boy and get away with it. Damn. So I'm scared, but it was picture day that day. It's picture day. And picture day, sorry y'all, it's my phone. And picture day was wild as shit at that school, right? So remember, this is a private school. So when we had picture day, it was essentially like a fucking free for all. It was just crazy as shit in the school. Let's read it. Read a message from this nigga, y'all. Can't wait to put this nigga up in the story, okay? He gonna be at the end of the book though. But yeah, so oh, sorry, y'all. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking doing this because I'm getting a little loose. Getting a little loose, and I'm only 35 minutes in. Let me take a break and write this nigga back. Let's edit this part out. Y'all, I really wish I could have did a relationship chronicles with him because I think we would have been more famous than Krishan Rock and Blueface. Okay. But that nigga, he don't be wanting to film. See, you gotta have a nigga that's willing to film to do this type of stuff. Oh, I can't get away from this nigga. All right. Anyway, so bam. So it was crazy as shit picture day, right? So like on picture day, like it was like the teachers would be everywhere. It just wasn't no kind of organization, right? It wasn't like you just go to class and they say, so and so come out for your picture and then you just come out and no, it would just be the teachers here, the students there. You may have already took your picture, but now you over here in her class with this person. It was like that type of thing. So it was naturally a chaotic day, right? Which was already kind of weird. And then I remember that the young lady who was the so one of like she was an extreme favorite. So as extreme as Miss Riley didn't like me, she extremely liked this young woman. And um Miss Right, the young woman that she favored, her mom. I remember we loved her mom, right? Her mom came in the gym. We was in the gym. Pause. The principal came in the gym, and she said a plane has just hit a building in New York. Mind you, we're like 12, so we like, oh damn, that's crazy. That's fuck. What the fuck? That's crazy, right? So then she says, so one of the girls that was at school for said, she said something like, my aunt lives in New York. But it was more of like a joke, like serious, like, that's fucking crazy. My aunt live in New York. So then she said the plane hit the Twin Towers. So then the girl said, my aunt work in the Twin Towers. So it was like, oof, right? But then the young lady whose mother was the coach of the team, or the girl was the coach. What the fuck ever. Y'all know what I mean. The girl was the head, and the lady's mom was like a co-coach or something, right? She was crying. She came in the gym crying. So we like, what the fuck going on? It's just so surreal when you think about these things. And she said, the plane hit the towers, and my friend works at like the top floor. He was above where the plane had crashed. And I do believe that, he did pass from what I remember. Um, it didn't hit home until we went, and mind you, remember this is already a chaotic day. But now that these adults know what was going on, now we really don't really see no teachers because they're too busy trying to, hey, what the fuck? A plane hit, then another plane hit. But then when that plane hit the Pentagon, that's when it hit home for us because a lot of our parents, I had a parent, well, my aunt and uncle, I'll call them my parents. So my aunt worked in DC, my uncle worked in Department of Defense. Sometimes he worked in the Pentagon. I didn't know if he was at the Pentagon that day or not. So at this point, we're literally in a classroom. We had the TV, when y'all had that little TV in the corner, and we're just watching that plane hit the Pentagon over and over. You know how they was doing? They was terrorizing us with those images, and we're all crying. One girl was walking around saying her mother is dead. I mean, so I remember somebody came in and they turned the TV off, and everyone's trying to call their parents. This was probably the first time in my entire life to where there were so many people in the world calling other people that the phone lines, you just boop boop, everything was busy. You couldn't even get in contact with people. Parents just started showing the fuck up and coming to get their kids. That's just what it was. Um, same thing that I would do if I'm at work and all of a sudden the plane hit a building, like I don't know. Then another building, then down the street. Oh, bitch, I'm clocking out, bitch. This may be my last day. So, yeah, they came and got us and all that jazz. Um, so one of the things, cause like it's so much when I'm telling y'all my life story. So I'm trying to kind of like pick and choose what to tell y'all. So forgive me if it seems like why is she telling us that? I'm just telling you things that I remember. Right now, these stories are from when I was fairly young. Okay, so yeah, 9/11 saved me from Miss Riley choking the shit out of me that day. But 'cause she forgot about it and she never brought it up again. So also, um, Miss Riley had said her dad had died, right? So she was telling everybody he was sick, you know? And then she said the nigga had died, right? So she had some of the favorite parents. She had some of the parents, like, so with this private school, like you come, hold on, y'all, I gotta stretch my leg. Ooh, ooh. You come and I've been drinking and I'm tired. Just forgive me. I'm gonna just have to edit some of this shit out. And in you'll have like parents, and sometimes the principal will be out the front greeting the parents. You know all that bougie ass shit at the private schools that they do. And she had the parents were collecting money so Miss Riley could bury her father that had passed away. Come to find out, this nigga wasn't even dead. This nigga was still kicking. Like he's sick, but bitch, you can't just say a nigga died and he ain't take his last breath yet. Like it's like a bitch being 9 months pregnant, and I'm like, oh, she had the baby, and the she's still pregnant. Like, yeah, what's the rationale? So, parents wanted their motherfucking money back because, bitch, what you scamming niggas, bitch? And it's so interesting that my aunt had liked this lady so much, and this lady was just evil, and so the fuck is my aunt. We'll get to that later, but I remember one time Miss Riley, um, and the reason why I mentioned Miss Riley, some of y'all like, "Who give a fuck about this teacher?" Because she's somebody that was significant to me as a child that treated me badly. And that was probably one of the first times in my life that I had somebody treat me bad. We're not talking about kids because kids are just by default mean as fuck. An adult, somebody who's fully aware, grown, cognizant, and they understand like what they're doing. They understand how these words are affecting you. Not a kid saying, I hate you. This is an adult, okay? So one time, it's just recess. A bitch just trying to go kick it and play with her friends. A bitch just trying to play tag. That's it. I wasn't trying to do nothing, okay? I wasn't trying to suck no dick under the slide. I was just trying to tag, boop, yeah, that's it. And she says, "Come here," right in front of this white lady. And I said, "Why she always doing this shit from this white bitch?" Right? The white bitch don't never say nothing, right? Right in front of the white lady. Remember, I slapped the white lady son, the white teacher son. She says, "Come here, Miss Riley," and I walk up to her, and she looked me dead in my eye just like this, and she said, "I don't like you." I'll never forget that. I'll never, I will never forget that. Bitch, I'm 12. And I wasn't someone that got in trouble. I wasn't this wayward student. I just wasn't. I was kind of like someone that got picked on. I was just like a regular student. So I don't know what it was, but I'll never forget that. And I went home and I told my aunt, who did absolutely nothing about it, my daughter can call me and say that a teacher tone was off with her. And I'm at that motherfucking school. Do you know why? Do you know why when Miss Rush Stewart walks in my daughter's schools, they dot their I's and they cross their T's? Because I don't play about my kid. I'm not one of them parents that just, I don't give a fuck about my kid. I don't give a fuck what she doing. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm not one of them parents. I give a fuck. And I will come straight from work and I will show you how many fucks I actually give. Okay. So I remember one time my daughter came home and told me one of these old low life motherfuckers that just got a walkie talkie and took a fucking class at fucking B Triple C. One of these hall monitor bitches had asked her if she was smoking in the bathroom. It was some other shit that happened, but it was several motherfuckers that was pulled in the office. So I went to the office and had them pull their own staff in the office one by one. Cause one by one, I'm gonna make you feel as uncomfortable as you made my fucking kid feel. Bitch, my kid has to go to school. She don't have no motherfucking choice. She has to do this. So she's not gonna feel uncomfortable in a place that she has to be by law. This ain't the club. She ain't gotta be in here. Y'all being rude to her. You know what I mean? So I don't play about that type of shit. And I said, what the fuck did you think she was smoking? Was it a cigar? A Newport? Perhaps crack cocaine? Because I would like to know what the fuck you thought she was in there smoke. This bitch, I didn't think she. Okay, that's how I go to bat for my kid. That's how I thought my aunt would go to bat for me, you know. So when I told her, like Miss Riley said, she just looked at me and said she ain't like me. She was like, she did. She was kind of taken aback. That was it. There was no like further action after that. So Miss Riley was definitely somebody in my life that she was one of the first people in my life that I can remember treating me badly just because I existed, just because I was breathing, just because I was born, because I did nothing to this motherfucking woman. Period. Okay. Um, so yeah. So when I was in middle school, I can't, bro. I can't. Yo, I can't. So yeah, so that was like my first major time I remember someone just really treated me bad, like just because they could. That wasn't a child. Um, so that was that. So bam, in middle school, like that was around the time that my aunt started to see, I guess some changes in me, just like mentally. And she did mention something about like me going to therapy. I was like, girl, I don't need no motherfucking therapy. You know how niggas are. But um I have to say, I think she was on to something at that time. And so my mm, so around this time, um my aunt started to like notice some changes in me. Like when I was in middle school. Um And I know she did like mention like, I think you may need to talk to somebody. I don't know what she noticed in me, but this is what I can tell you. I had a diary and I got evicted years ago and they threw all my stuff out and they just threw all my poems and I mean, I had that diary since I was 9 years old. But I was just starting to be very emo. And what I perceived as normal for someone in middle school. So, for example, like let's say I liked the boy, right? This wasn't just like I liked a boy. This was like head over heels. My life encompasses you. Just I shouldn't be feeling that way so young. And when it went left, which every relationship gonna go left when you're 10, 11, 12. When it went left, it was more than just like, oh, Timmy broke my heart. It was something else, that I shouldn't have been feeling that way. That's the best way I can really explain it. But it was like this deep sadness that I was starting to kind of go through around that time that I didn't really understand. And um it was also like a turning point for me uh because I had an incident with a friend. And this was a very close friend. And I think this was really when I started to like view people in a way, um, even people that like I perceived that I trusted. So we're at eighth grade, right? So with Miss Riley, she tortured me sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, whatever, right? Nothing really too crazy happened in those years, except like I said, I was like kind of started to feel depressed. So when I was in going to the ninth grade, right? So it was that summer. I had a friend, okay, call her Samantha. So in eighth grade, I knew Samantha from fourth grade to eighth grade, right? And at the school we went to, a lot of people went there their whole lives. And then when they were going to go to high school, they would go to another school. I'm not really sure why, but that's just how the school was. People usually left in ninth grade and they went somewhere else, right? So I knew this girl from, the time I was 9 or 10 or something. And now no, I'm sorry. I knew her from fourth grade to eighth grade. Okay. So in eighth grade, me, my aunt, and my uncle went to Florida, right? And I was really close with Samantha. So, like, her parents got with my parents, and they decided Samantha could come with us to Florida, just me, Samantha, and, my parents. So, we had fun. Everything was cool. Like, me and Samantha we were great friends. Like, what the fuck? So, I never had any issues with her. She never bullied me that I remember. Like, we were great. I loved her. She was cool. Big girl, pretty girl. Loved her. Loved her. She could sing. Um, Me, her, and this other dude, because so there's this guy, I was in love with him. How did I forget him? Pause. Let's add this nigga in here. Real motherfucking quick, okay? We gonna call him Eliante. I was in love with this nigga. Yo, I was in love with Eliante. Oh my god, I was in love with that boy so fucking bad. Okay, from the fourth grade to the eighth grade. In fact, I low key kind of lost my virginity. See, we going too far. We going too far ahead. Let's just take it back. Let's just bring it back. Let's just bring it back to eighth grade because God damn it, we coming up on this hour, and this one is kind of about. This is when the real life issues start coming in. Okay, so but yeah, from fourth grade to eighth grade, I was in love with this boy named Eliante, but I knew him even still all through high school and all of that stuff. We had a falling out in college, but we'll get to that later. So Samantha went with us to Florida. She was a good friend of mine. So now, boom, fast forward, we out of the eighth grade. We about to go to ninth grade. She's going to one high school. I'm going to a different high school, right? Um, so that year, so this is 2003. There was a hurricane, but it wasn't like in Maryland. It was like somewhere else, and we got like a piece of it. But it was enough to where like all the power was out. Like, bitch, you was in the house, you was in, and so we had a generator. So maybe after like the bulk of the storm, maybe like that first and second day after the bulk of the storm, like you could drive, at that point, like you can go out, you could drive. So I remember like I don't even know how the fuck we convinced our parents to have a fucking sleepover in a damn near in a hurricane. But we did. So Samantha, her parents dropped her off and she was hanging up at my house and we were gonna have the sleepover, right? And this wasn't like nothing like super new or nothing. Samantha was also on the cheerleading team with us, and she was one of Miss Riley's favorites as well. Okay. So in my house we had like a bar downstairs. So it was a split level house in Maryland, right? Because remember I'm in Maryland. Split level. So you got the top level, which got one, two, you got the library, you got the sunroom, you got this nice big house up there. And then downstairs was like a whole nother level. So my aunt, who never loved my uncle, they didn't sleep in the same bed. Plot twist. They did not sleep in the same bed, baby. In fact, when they got married, when I was 14, and they kissed at the altar, my uncle's sister said, that's the first time I ever seen them kiss. And when she said it, it was almost like she said it more to herself. Like she was kind of realizing, I never even seen this woman kiss my brother. My uncle had knew my aunt for like 18 years. It's crazy, right? Anyway, she didn't love him. Okay. I don't even think she really liked him. So we was upstairs. In fact, the house I grew up in, like, so we ended up, by the time I ended up in, about to go to high school, when my aunt and uncle got married in, in that eighth grade year or whatever, my uncle's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they actually ended up moving. They had this huge custom built house. They ended up moving and gifting the home that, they raised their children in to their son and his new wife, my aunt, which was very cool. I don't know too many people that get gifted a fucking house, okay? So, yeah. So this is the house he grew up. This was his house he grew up in. Okay. So my aunt had his parents' old bedroom and that nigga slept downstairs. I know. That's how I feel about it too. He slept down. I mean it. I fucking mean it, bro. He slept downstairs. They never fucked. They never sucked. There was nothing. There was no up. Like there was nothing going on in that house. Nothing. I was probably having more sexual activity with myself than them two was having with each other. But somehow a baby came out of it. Apparently she had him in vitro fertilization and some bullshit. I don't know. It definitely wasn't by my uncle climbing on top of her and having sexual intercourse with her. I can tell you that for a fact. Um, so I grew up in a household where I didn't even see love spread. Like I knew what love was because I would turn on the fucking TV or I would see it with someone else's parents or with, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But I didn't know what love was just looking at them. Like he would try to give her a hug and she would say, get your fat ass off me. Get your fat ass off me. This your husband. And one thing about my uncle was he was a good man, but he was a doormat. And I'm just kind of giving you guys a little insight to my life, just as to this was like the first real relationship that I seen that I perceived as healthy. It's healthy. It's okay to just, not sleep with your nigga every night or not hug him. Of course, when I was younger, I'm thinking this. As I got older, I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. Shit, I got a boyfriend in high school and I wouldn't treat him like that, you know? But in ways I was. We'll get to that. But so it was odd the dynamic in the house. Um She was just, my aunt was very controlling. So now, remember when I was like, I loved her so much? Mm, oh, wait, fuck. See, I'm getting out of order. I'm gonna have to edit this and go back. But pause. Let's go back to my friend. So my friend came over my house. It was a split level house. It was a bar downstairs. So we went to the bar. Of course, we drinking a little bit. You know how it is. We 14, right? We drinking a little bit. I got a little bit drunk or whatever. And I remember she says like, "Where am I going to sleep?" I just thought it was an odd question. Um, like what the fuck? Like, first of all, we have extra bedrooms. Excuse me. Like, if you want to sleep in a bedroom all by yourself, but my room was huge. So my room used to be two rooms, but years ago before I lived there, they had knocked the wall down. So I actually had two doors to my room, right? But it was a big room. And so I'm like, girl, you gonna sleep with me? What the fuck is you talking about, right? So she like, okay. So we get in the bed, right? We had been drinking a little bit, whatever. But I'm like, come on, I'm not fucking slosh, bro. I'm fucking 14. I probably took two shots and was a little sis. But we get in the bed and I'm laying on my back. This is a twin bed. And she was laying down or whatever. And then the next thing I know, she turns over and I don't know what came first, but she started doing some stuff to me, inappropriately, sexually, and I froze. I was laying on my back and I froze. Um, and I think I froze because she was such a good friend to me. And see, when I was in eighth grade going to ninth grade, this was around the time everybody's gay. It's cool to be gay. I got a girlfriend. I'm gay. I lick pussy. I kiss girls. I got a rainbow sticker on my left titty. This was the beginning of the bullshit we're at now, where they say women don't even own periods. Okay, this was the beginning of the bullshit. With everybody popping off and just all of a sudden everybody was just gay for to stay overnight. So she was one of the I'm gay. Okay, I don't give a fuck, whatever. I'm not. Um, so yeah, so she had started doing stuff to me. I froze. I was 14. I was a virgin. I was a virgin. So I didn't really know how to take that. So when she was done, she said, "Don't tell." Um, I think I just numbed myself to it. And it was weird because we had such a good time. And I just still think it's so odd that my first sexual experience was with a friend and it was unwanted. That's still really weird to me to like think about. And now like that my daughter's older, she's 15, she's at that age like, "Oh, I want to go to this place." I no. I was sexually taken advantage of by a friend. Like I'm scared for my fucking daughter, and that friend did call me. She called me, a couple years ago and she apologized, and I was glad for that. Um, and when she apologized, she had actually admitted that she did this to another girl on the cheerleading team. And it was ironic because when she said don't tell anyone, the next day I literally called this that girl on the cheerleading team, not knowing that something had happened between them. Apparently inappropriately. I wasn't there, but I mean, I can connect some dots. And I think it's just crazy to even think that a child can be a literal child molester. It's still really hard for me to like wrap my head around it because when she called me, it was odd. Like she did reach out and I don't hate her or anything, but she did violate me. And I didn't want my first sexual experience to be like that, you know? And it's interesting because they always say it's somebody that you know most of the time. It's not going to be this random person that just snatches you in an alley and just takes advantage of you. It's usually someone you trust. And of course, I trusted someone that I knew since I was 9 years old to sleep in the bed with me and not like take advantage of me. Um, so when she divulged to me, 15 years later that it also happened with someone else and the other person basically didn't like it, it was kind of a scary thought. Because in her head, I think she was still kind of trying to justify it. But you took that experience away from me to have that first sexual experience with a man or like a boy at school or like you didn't even give me the option and that just wasn't fair. Um, and I'm not even a lesbian or whatever. I'm not gay. I don't like women in a sexual manner. It didn't feel good to me. So I guess even back then I wasn't with the shits. So like I don't want to say that like affected my outview on people in life, but when someone does take advantage of you, and this is someone like you trusted, someone like you would never think would do something like that to you, it changes you. Certain things change a person. And I think that's when the problems really started to evolve in me is once I got to high school. But that's all y'all niggas is getting for now. See, it was getting better at the end, huh? I gotta edit. But yeah. So y'all, that is just, the first video from a Hold a Heart Surgeon. We're just getting into the nitty-gritty of it all. So I'm just so happy that I'm starting this journey, you guys. And I'm just so happy that you guys are coming on it with me. Leave any comments, any questions. If you like want me to even elaborate on something a little more in the next video, comment or just DM me. Let me know. Like, share, subscribe. I love you guys. Please be safe and peace.